Welcome to your medicine journal. This journal is your trusted sidekick, a tool designed to help you keep track of the medications you take and how you feel. We've all been there, waiting weeks for a doctor's appointment while feeling unwell. Having questions like, is it the new medicine? Did I sleep okay? Why does something feel off? Swirling around in your mind only to slip away during those quick fleeting moments with your doctor. That's where this journal comes in. Keeping a detailed log of how you're feeling, your symptoms, and your experiences with medications is vital. It ensures you don't forget important details when it's time to talk with your healthcare provider. Here's how the journal can help. By updating it daily, you'll have a clear and accurate record to share with your doctor, helping them provide you with the best care. The small triangles in the outer corners of the pages can be folded down or removed as markers for special and specific entries you need to revisit or discuss at your next appointment. My hope is that using this tool consistently will support your healing journey, both for your body and your mind. You no longer have to leave appointments thinking, I forgot to tell the doctor about that. By bringing this journal along and recording your experiences, you'll have the most powerful reference to advocate for your health. Remember, taking care of yourself is a partnership between you and your healthcare team, and it all starts with you. Here's to your health and healing. To get your copy of my medicine journal, email info@courtneycoleman.com. Welcome to the Impact Zone. I'm Kourtney Coleman, your mental health and mindset coach and hypnotherapist, and the hostess of the Impact Zone. If this is your first time in the Impact Zone, hola, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to catch the latest episodes and interviews. Come ready to be enlightened, encouraged, and supported to create the life you really want and deserve to live from the inside out. Now come join me inside this episode of The Impact Zone. Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Impact Zone. Today I have a special interview that I will be doing, and this is securing your legacy, wills, trust, and protecting your loved ones. And this is going to be an interview with Danielle Wagoner. So I'll just briefly introduce her and then we can get right into the questions. Danielle's career has always been centered around helping others. For years, she dedicated herself to supporting people with animals, but 3 years ago, she embarked on a new journey in search of her next passion. Her path led her to Sonoma County, where she spent time in the wine industry before a chance encounter with an estate planning attorney that changed everything. Recognizing her natural ability to educate and connect with people, she was offered the opportunity to help individuals across the country understand the importance of wills, trusts, probates, and revocable living trusts. Today, Danielle is passionate about guiding families in securing their assets and ensuring their loved ones are protected. One of the greatest commitments is her helping parents establish guardianship within their estate plans, providing peace of mind that their children will be cared for if the unexpected happens. I say when it happens, right? Well, thank you. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
So, did I miss anything in your introduction, or we just
That was a better introduction than I gave you, so please send that along so I can use it from now on.
I was like, she might want me to send her this.
I do.
First question I have is, how common are wills and trusts? Are there more people who don't have them than people that do?
So the 30% of the whole population knows anything about trusts or probate or anything. So my mission is to get this information out to as many people as we can, and educate people about why they need a trust, what's the difference between a trust and a will, and all of that stuff.
Okay. So why are wills and trusts important to the average person?
Well, okay, so this might get into what the difference between a will and a trust.
Okay.
Um, so the trust is a container that holds all of your assets, right? Um, it holds a home. So if a person has a home, if they have other accounts, things like that, real property, which is a home, land, things like that. Um, if they don't have a trust, they're going to end up in probate. So probate is a court process and it's very long, time consuming. It creates a situation where your estate becomes public and the trust keeps your estate private, just between you and the trustees. So if a person has a property, businesses, even businesses, if they have a business, they end up in probate, things like that. The trust can hold a business, an LLC, a corporation, whatever that is. And a will is good for people who maybe don't ever want to buy property. They may have a few accounts that have a beneficiary designation, and that is a situation where if they have a beneficiary designation, those accounts go directly to the beneficiaries, assuming that their beneficiaries are over 18. So
Okay.
we can get into that little situation later. So, and in the will, um, well, in the trust, and we do a trust, will, and financial power of attorney healthcare directive. And those documents, those healthcare directives, my soapbox says everyone over 18 needs one.
Okay. Okay. So you've already explained a little bit of the difference between the trust and the will. So the person with the trust is a person who, the difference that I guess you should be concerned about if you need a trust is just that if you own property, is that how you decide if
The
you need
difference,
a will?
yes, thank you for the clarification. So the difference is a will is part of probate. So if a person has a will, they're, no matter what it is, they're going to end up in court. If a person has a trust, they're going to have that trust. It's a private document between the trustees and the person who, the grantor, the person who created it. And that trust will guard against going through probate. So yes, if a person has property, making sure that property gets in a trust is very important.
Okay. Um, and the things that go in the trust, just like you were saying, the property, and I didn't know will went through probate. I thought everything just went to whoever you said it goes to.
Mhm.
Because, I've heard situations where people who don't have wills, they're just like, oh, well, my grandma said this is mine. Oh, I'm gonna get this because this is what I want, and I told my grandma or my auntie or whatever. And I'm just looking at people like they told you, but is it written down? The
Right.
writing
Then
down is the key,
that's
right?
right. That's getting it on paper, getting that signed document that says, yes, um, Kourtney gets the piano from Uncle Sal, right? That kind of stuff, making sure it does get documented. And if you have a will only, everything ends up in probate no matter what. Um, and people can contest whatever, right? So you could still end up, and that's the other thing, is that when things end up going through probate, there's lots of fighting and families break up. I hear these stories every single day about, having to go through probate and now the brothers don't talk anymore and the sister-in-laws are, mad at each other, all the things. So families fight. So let's get it in a trust where you're not going through probate. Things are written down. And then it's like, well, the grantor said that that's how that should be, so that we're going to honor what they say, right? Anybody can contest anything, so trusts can be contested as well, just so you know. But they're a little bit more ironclad than a will, and they don't go through probate, so it's not like everything is out there in the middle of everything.
Oh wow. So my uneducated thought was okay, at least the will, you know who gets what, and there shouldn't be any fighting. But you're saying it's public knowledge and you can contest it and say, no, I want it.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Okay.
That's exactly right. And then lots of money gets spent and they stay in. People have been telling me stories. There's one woman who I talk to all the time, and she's in the middle of probate with their mother's affairs, and it's already been 2 years.
Wow.
So, and when you go through probate, everything's locked up. So nothing is available. You can't get into accounts. You can't, access property. So if a person has a mortgage on a house, right, the people who are going through probate have to pay that mortgage so they don't lose the house. Um, right? So, and if it's going to take 2 years, that's a lot of money. And so people do, they end up losing that family home that they should be able to keep. Yeah, it's a sad situation. That's why I want to do as many podcasts as I can.
So it seems like now the cry should be everybody needs a trust, not just
Everybody
will.
needs a trust. I know, that's right. So people hear about wills all the time because they're out there in the media. You sit down with the lawyer. That's not actually how things are done anymore. You sit down with the lawyer, the will is read, yada yada yada. But nobody knows that that's not how it's done. The will goes into court and it gets dealt with by a judge. Um, probate is somewhat easier if a person does have a will, because the wishes are at least written down potentially somewhere. But it doesn't mean that everything's going to go the way that the will even says. Because if there's bills out there that need to be paid, those get paid first. Yep.
Wow.
So that's the chant. Will. I mean,
Right.
trust, 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 trust. That's what I mean.
So now from will to trust we go. Okay. So
Mhm.
what happens if someone passes away without a will or a trust?
Then the person who is their closest living relative goes to court. They pay a fee, they see a judge, they open probate, and then the judge gets to do whatever the judge gets to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because probate, then everything becomes public, people come out of the woodwork. The other thing I've been hearing about is once a probate thing is opened and it's public, people have been pillaging homes and doing things like that because the addresses are all there. And yeah, if nobody's there watching the house, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's dangerous not to have a trust. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what happens to someone's child if they don't have a will or a trust?
Okay, so great. I love this. Okay, because this is my passion. I want to keep all the babies safe. Okay, so if a person has a will and they name a guardians, they still have to go to court and get guardianship over the children. So they still have, so the children, something happens to mom and dad, Child Protective Services comes in, they take the kids, they put them in foster care until they can get guardianship figured out. So not only have the children lost their parents, they're living with strangers. Um, So they used to be able to just go right to a relative, everything was cool. Now they've found that people fight over the kids. So they go ahead, they put them in the foster care, and it could take months before the kids actually end up with the people that they wanted to. Now, here's the thing. I know, right? You're shocked. Now, if a person has a trust and they put in guardianship in the trust, those people that are named in the trust will actually be able to take control of those children and care for them.
Without them
And
having to go through the system to go to
they
a
may have to, they'll be able to get them right away, and they may have to do something around guardianship later, but they'll at least be able to take those kids and love them and nurture them and help them get through this sad time
faster than if it was just a will.
as if it, yes. So that's another reason, even if someone doesn't have I do trusts all the time for young parents who don't own a home yet. Oh, here's another cool thing. So if they don't own a home yet and they do a trust just to establish guardianship, when they go to purchase a home, they can purchase that home right into the trust. So they just tell, so once the trust is all set up, you can add assets as you go along. So you can buy real estate into the trust. You just tell the real estate agent, hey, I've got a trust. You buy it, the real estate agent asks you for the certification of trust typically. And then the title company puts it right into the trust. If you want to open new accounts, I opened a stock account in my trust. You open that into the trust account. The account managers will ask you for the trust documentation, open it right into the trust. So that's another reason to, if you're a young family, you establish guardianship, you create this trust. I'm using my container. You establish guardianship, you
And
created the
just keep
container. Then when
building.
you buy the land, you can put it right into the trust.
Just keep building within the container and everything is safe.
That's right. That's
Just
right.
from not knowing, again, I thought it was okay, you have the will, it'll keep people from fighting. You've shown that you care enough about, who you left behind, what you want where, so there's no fighting. But in actuality, it's the trust, not the will.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right.
Well, thank you for clearing that up for me. I know I'm
Yeah.
the only person who thinks that way. Let's
Yep.
see. Ooh, how do I know if my will or my trust is set up correctly?
Well, that's an excellent question. Now, the documents that we provide are for each state. I work with people all over the country. There's only two states that I can't do trusts in, Hawaii and Louisiana. Louisiana has some interesting rules, so an attorney needs to do that. Let me give you a little context. So I work for Inherit Guard. We're a company of attorneys and other professionals who work together to provide estate planning and tax planning services. I'm not an attorney, but I do work closely with all the attorneys there. So if someone comes in, they have a unique situation, and I need to have them speak to an attorney, then, you know, I can refer them to an attorney. So the question was, how do I know that my documents are prepared correctly? Well, what we found is we wanted to create a comprehensive package. So our documents have been reviewed by all attorneys in every state. They've been reviewed by all of our attorneys. So our documents are very good documents.
Hmm.
And then the package that we do includes, so a lot of people go online and do their own. They have to have them notarized. They have to have the deeds done. We do all of those things in the package that we provide. So I guess the answer to the question would be, if you're concerned about your documents not being correct, you could have an attorney review them and double check.
Okay. Mhm. What do I do with my trust or will after it's completed? Like, it's like, okay, I got everything signed and done. Now what do I do with it?
I love that too. Okay, so everything's signed. So a notary needs to sign all the documents. A lot of people forget to do that piece, and you didn't even really do a trust if it's not signed by a notary. Um, and then what you do is you fund it. You fill the trust. So all of the accounts that you want to put in, you call those accounts and you say, I have a trust. I want to put this account in my trust. They're going to ask you for paperwork. You send the paperwork. Typically, it's a certification of trust, but I always have people call and find out. So when we're talking about funding the trust, I'm not talking about paying for it. I'm talking about filling it up. Um, we can do, oh, and then you have to have a deed created, a transfer deed, in order to transfer the home into the trust. And that's part of our package as well. If you have a business, you can have LLCs, corporations, and things like that put into the trust as well. Now, those documents, those have to be, we have to do what's called an assignment of rights, and that's an extra fee, and an attorney creates that document. So filling the trust is your next step.
Okay. And like, so I guess in my mind, the question was like, after it's all done, do I just keep the papers? What do I do? It's like,
Oh,
okay, what's done? Well, what do I do now?
okay. So with the paperwork is what you're saying. What do I do with the documents? So A lot of times people in our case will get a PDF of the trust, the full trust. A trust done with a married couple is about 170 some odd pages. And then so we can create a binder. It's a little extra fee. Sometimes the client will print out all the documents, put them in a binder, and then slip in the signature pages. The main thing that you want to make sure of, if you just keep them on a PDF, that's fine. You want to make sure that those signature pages are gold. Those are the main portions of what you need. So you want to make sure those signature pages stay safe. Um, what to do with it. So I wouldn't put it in a lockbox like a bank vault thing, because when you pass away, that bank vault's locked and no one can get to it. So I would put it in a place in your home where somebody knows, make sure that those people who are trustees know where it is. Those people that have financial power of attorney and healthcare directive know where those documents are. Yeah, so make sure that those main people know where and the guardians, make sure those people know where that document is.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So with like a home safe, is that a good place? And you just let the trustees know this is where the key is, so that the documents are safe if there's ever something going on with the house or wherever it's located.
Yeah, you could do that. Just making sure they know where all the things are. You know, a trust, I have mine in my filing cabinet. A trust isn't a document that's like so private, it's private between you and the trust, but if someone comes across it, they're not going to be able to do anything with it, because
Okay.
they're not the trustees. They're not only the trustee can establish any after you pass away. So typically, if a wife and husband, they're trustees and beneficiaries during their lifetime. If anything happens to one, the other one takes over. The successor trustees come into play after they pass away. So
Right.
the trustees are the only ones that really can have any say in that.
Mhm.
So it's not really like someone could do anything with your stuff if they came across your trust.
Mhm. I just meant like if, the house caught on fire, flooding or whatever, just so that you're
which is
keeping it safe, but you're saying there's no need for that.
which is happening. So I have a to-go thing in my file cabinet, right? It's a to-go file. I pull all the files out and I take it with me if something like that happens.
Mhm.
But that stuff has been happening now. Typically, the company that did your trust will have a copy of your trust for you and the signed documents. So we can recreate that document for you as well if somehow something happened. Speaking of fires, I live in Sonoma County, California. We had a gigantic fire in 2017. A friend of mine had a supposed fireproof safe. She had a bunch of stocks in there. They burned up. So just because you have your stuff in a safe doesn't mean it's safe. Just so you know. Yeah.
So is it a good idea to like sit the trustees down and say, this is what I'm putting in here and this is what you have control over and I'm gonna give you a copy? Or do you just
I don't necessarily, I keep hearing a conflicting results around who should have it. So I don't think that the trust should be copied and sent out. Um, I think that the powers of attorney, the people who are on those could have a copy. But I think the trust, all those documents should stay together, and just let your people know. But yes, I love the idea of sitting down with the people that you've put in those positions, excuse me, and letting them know your wishes, especially the healthcare directive. Let people know, hey, if something happens to me, I don't want to be on life support. I want you to, do this, that, and the other, or I do want to be on life support, or, have those conversations about how comfortable, and maybe even before you put somebody in as those people, talk to them about how they would want to handle it and go from there.
okay?
Yes. A lot of people, that's the taboo about this whole subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. I mean, we're planning for your demise, right? So opening the conversation might take a little nudging, and care. My friends used to not want to talk to me about it, but we got to talk about it. It's none of us get out of here alive.
Correct. Correct. Let's see. Where do people go to get information about wills and trusts? Like, are there just certain companies, or you just go to a lawyer, any lawyer, or what? Who do you go to?
So estate planning attorneys are the ones that talk about wills and trust. They're planning your estate, planning how to deal with all of your things. Um, you go to a company like ours, company like me, we can put my contact information if you're willing in at some point. Going to an estate planning attorney would be one. Internet is a wealth of knowledge. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. But looking up, what a trust is, what a will is, those kinds of things is a way to do it as well. But an estate planning attorney or something like that.
Okay. And without any particular packages, because I know everything can be customized or whatever, but just a general idea, how much time and money does creating a will or trust take? Like, what's
Wow.
the simplest and most affordable way to do it?
Um, Simple and affordable are two different things. Um, I don't know how much you want me to talk about what I do, but there's packages out there that you can do a trust for $200, but that's, you go online, you do it yourself, or maybe even, that, nothing's included. You have to figure out how to do the deed. You have to get a notary. So all these little pieces have to be put together. You want to find a reputable company. Um, uh, the time that's put in, it depends. I've heard people who come in and see me after they've tried to do one online and they're like, oh my God, I spent 12 hours trying to figure this out and I'm here to see you. Um, so it depends, is really what I'm saying. Attorneys, you go see an attorney, they ask you for a down payment or something. It depends on what they charge. You have to go in and talk to them about what they charge. I don't know, like I said, how much you want me to talk about my company, but it just really varies. It really, really varies.
Okay. And I guess just besides the internet, where do we go to get more information about will and trust? We just pick a company, we just search the internet and piece it all together. Where do we like go to get solid information?
I wish I could give you the answer to that. I so wish I could give you the answer. Do a consult with me. We can talk about it. And here's the thing about trusts. Every trust is different. Every person's circumstances are different. So that's why, quoting a price or telling you how much it would cost, there's no way to knowing until someone goes to either see an estate attorney or contacts a company that does trusts and has a consult and figure out what their needs are.
Right.
Um, so I know you keep asking me, where do I go to find out? Um, I you go talk to somebody who knows, estate planning attorney, have a consult with me, contact a company that you think is reputable. Ask your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Ask your friends. Ask for a referral. Who do you know that knows anything about trusts? Uh, talk to your um, uh, Talk to your insurance agent. See if they know anybody that does trusts. Talk to your real estate agent. Um, those kinds of people. Talk to your accountant, your bookkeeper, your people like that. Typically, they have referrals for you.
Mm-hmm. And should be kind of already answered with all the questions we talked about, but how often should someone update their will or trust?
I always say, keep an eye on it. A woman that I know looks at her trust every day, every time on her birthday. She just puts it in her calendar to look and make sure it's up to date. every couple of years you should look at it. To be honest, mine's been sitting in my cupboard for a while and I haven't updated it, which I need to do. Every couple of years at the very least. An event, you have a child, you get a divorce, you get married, you buy a home, which you can add the trust, add that home to the trust. A life event is a good
Right.
time to look at that trust.
Right. Okay. And how can people contact you for more information?
How do you want me to put that together? Do you want to put it in the comments, my email?
You can say what it is, but I will actually have it on the screen and then in the text as well.
Okay, so my email address is D as in dog, Wagoner, WAGON as in Nancy, ER, at ignplan.com. I as in India, G as in George, N as in Nancy, plan, PLAN.com. So you can contact me there. I have one last piece of a nugget before we hang up. So just let me know when I can give that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we've found that if somebody has a trust already, and even if you're going to build a trust and you have a home and you've got insurance on that home, you want to contact your insurance company that has the insurance on your home. And you'd like to tell them that you want your trust to be an additional insured. We've been finding in California here after the fires that people have been denied because they've had a house in a trust and they didn't make their trust an additional insured.
Okay. So you have to have insurance on the trust just for the house.
No. So that's a great clarification. I love that. So you're actually just going to have the trust be an additional insured on the homeowner's insurance. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
So the trust is another person, let's say it's an entity that's going to be an additional insured on the homeowner's insurance.
Okay. Okay. That sounds better. And can you give your company name, your name, and your contact information again before we go?
I'm Danielle Wagoner. I work for Inherit Guard. My email is dwagoner@ignplan.com.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your information and time today, Ms. Danielle. I greatly appreciate you. And if anybody contacts me to get, information to you, I will get that to you as soon as possible. And thank you for your time.
Kourtney, thank you for bringing me on. I am on a mission to share all of this information. So
thanks for the education.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Impact Zone. My desire is that you find it to be enlightening, encouraging, and supportive of your transformation from the inside out, helping you to live your purpose and create the life you deserve to live. You can find out more about me and my services at CourtneyColeman.com. Be sure to check out the events page for what's happening now. I thank you in advance for subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform and for sharing it with like-minded people. And until next time, stay true to the real you. I'm Kourtney Coleman.